Is America truly the land of the free, or is it a land masked by the harsh realities of racism? This is a question many are grappling with today. Our journey begins by peeling back the layers of America's past, a past deeply intertwined with the painful history of racism. From the beginning, racism has been a pervasive issue, casting a long shadow over the country's progress and achievements. It's an issue that's both complex and deeply ingrained, a bleak reminder of the struggles faced by countless individuals. Now we embark on a journey to uncover the harsh truths, to shed light on the 10 states where racism is most prevalent. This isn't an exercise in pointing fingers or assigning blame, but an attempt to understand, to educate, and to spark conversations that could perhaps lead to change. Without further ado, let's dive into our countdown. Starting off our countdown at number 10, we have Maryland. Known for its rich history and picturesque landscapes, Maryland has a darker side that often goes unmentioned. Racial discrimination has been a persistent issue, with instances of racial profiling and hate crimes reported regularly. A 2019 study revealed that the state had the highest rate of hate crimes in the country, with the majority targeting African Americans and other racial minorities. The state's education system is also plagued by racial disparity, with Black and Hispanic students disproportionately affected by the achievement gap. The state's economic structure, too, reflects racial inequality, with a significant wealth gap between white families and families of color. And it's not just about numbers. The lived experiences of people of color in Maryland tell a tale of systemic racism that's deeply embedded in the state's fabric. And that's why Maryland holds the 10th spot in our list. Moving along at number 9, we find ourselves in West Virginia. Known for its breathtaking landscapes and rich coal mining history, it's a state that paints a picture of American resilience. But beneath this facade, a grim reality persists. West Virginia has had a notorious history of racial discrimination, which continues to rear its ugly head in various forms even today. Let's delve a bit deeper. A significant instance can be traced back to 2009, with the Charleston Police Department accused of racial profiling. Fast forward to today, and the situation hasn't improved much. A report from the American Civil Liberties Union revealed that in West Virginia, African Americans are nearly 3 times more likely to be arrested for minor drug offenses than their white counterparts, despite similar rates of drug use. This is just one aspect of the systemic racism that plagues the state, and it is these instances that position West Virginia at number 9 in our list. That brings us to the end of our journey in West Virginia, taking the 9th spot. Next on our list at number 8, we have Arkansas. A state known for its natural beauty, Arkansas unfortunately also has a history of racial tension. While strides have been made in recent years, racial disparities persist in areas such as education and employment. For instance, a study found that Black students in Arkansas schools are almost 4 times as likely to be suspended as their white peers. In the job market, Black residents face an unemployment rate nearly twice that of white residents. This disparity extends to income levels too, with the median income for Black households being significantly lower than that of white households. These statistics reflect a broader systemic issue, where racial disparities seep into everyday life, perpetuating a cycle of disadvantage. However, it's essential to remember that these issues are not unique to Arkansas. They are indicative of a larger national problem that we must collectively address, and with that, Arkansas takes the 8th spot on our list. Coming in at number 7, we find ourselves in Kansas. The Sunflower State, known for its seemingly endless prairies and the iconic yellow brick road, has a darker side that we can't ignore. Kansas has a history of racial tension that lingers even today. From the violent border conflicts before the Civil War known as Bleeding Kansas, to the racial disparities in the present-day criminal justice system, this state has a long way to go. Reports show a significant racial disparity in the state's incarceration rates, with people of color disproportionately represented. Moreover, incidents of hate crimes and racial discrimination in housing and employment sectors continue to paint a grim picture. Kansas, with its rich history and cultural diversity, should be a beacon of unity and acceptance. Yet the persistence of these issues lands it in the unenviable position on our list. That's why Kansas is our 7th most racist state in America. Halfway through our list at number 6 we land in Wisconsin. Known for its cheese and breweries, Wisconsin may seem like a friendly Midwestern state, but beneath the surface a different story unfolds. Despite its progressive reputation, Wisconsin struggles with deeply ingrained racial disparities. For instance, the state has some of the highest incarceration rates for African Americans in the country. Educational achievement gaps between black and white students are also among the widest in the nation. Moreover, a study by the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee found that Milwaukee, the state's largest city, is the most segregated in America. This segregation contributes to economic and social inequalities that persist today. Such racial disparities are not exclusive to Milwaukee but are evident throughout the state, casting a shadow over Wisconsin's seemingly idyllic landscape. That's why Wisconsin holds the 6th spot in our countdown. Breaking into our top 5, at number 5 we have Hawaii. Now, Hawaii may seem like an unlikely candidate given its reputation as a tropical paradise, but beneath the surface, there's a different story. The state's diverse demographic tapestry has unfortunately given rise to instances of racial tension and discrimination. In Hawaii, racism often manifests in subtler forms, making it even more insidious. There are stories of individuals feeling marginalized and overlooked due to their race. This is despite the state's rich mix of cultures, which include Native Hawaiian, Asian, and Caucasian populations, among others. Statistically, Hawaii has seen an uptick in reported hate crimes over the past few years, which has also contributed to its ranking. This is a stark contrast to the inviting images of sandy beaches and warm hospitality that are often associated with the state. So, while Hawaii's natural beauty remains unmarred, the social landscape tells a different story. And that's why Hawaii holds the 5th spot in our list. Moving closer to the top, at number 4, we find ourselves in Mississippi. This southern state has a long history steeped in racial division and strife. Although progress has been made since the days of segregation, Mississippi still struggles with racial disparities today. The state has one of the largest African American populations in the country, yet it is also home to some of the highest rates of racial inequality. From education and employment to housing and healthcare, the effects of systemic racism are palpable. There are also disturbing instances of hate crimes, a stark reminder of the deep-seated racial tensions. This, coupled with the state's historical context, places Mississippi at number 4 in our list. That brings us to the end of our journey in Mississippi, taking the 4th spot. In the top 3 now, at number 3, we have Maine. While known for its beautiful landscapes and robust seafood culture, it's also unfortunately known for its racial disparity. The state's population is overwhelmingly white, with racial minorities making up less than 5%. This lack of diversity has fostered an environment where racial bias and discrimination can thrive. One specific instance is in the education system, where students of color report higher instances of bullying and racial slurs. A survey conducted by Portland Public Schools revealed that over half of the students of color experienced racism at school. Furthermore, racial profiling is a serious issue, with minorities often targeted unfairly by law enforcement. This is reflected in the state's prison population, where people of color are disproportionately represented. And with that, Maine takes the 3rd spot on our list. Just missing out on the top spot, at number 2, we find ourselves in South Dakota. A state where the beauty of Mount Rushmore and Badlands National Park is shadowed by the grim reality of racial discrimination. South Dakota has a long history of racial tension, particularly between the Native American population and other residents. It's not uncommon to hear stories of Native Americans facing unfair treatment, from housing discrimination to racial profiling. The statistics echo these individual accounts. For instance, Native Americans, who make up less than 10% of the state's population, account for over half of the state's arrests. This disparity is not just about crime rates, but about the systemic racism that exists within the state's institutions. Even in the education system, Native American students face a higher rate of suspensions and expulsions compared to their white counterparts. This racial bias in the education system only adds to the cycle of discrimination and disadvantage faced by these communities. It's not just about numbers, it's about people's lives and experiences. It's about the stories that we don't often hear, and the voices that are often silenced. That's why South Dakota is our 2nd most racist state in America. Finally, at the top of our list, the most racist state in America is Delaware. A state steeped in history, Delaware is unfortunately also steeped in a legacy of racism. Despite being one of the smallest states in America, its impact on the racial divide is nothing short of significant. Concrete examples of racism in Delaware are not hard to find. One instance is the widespread racial segregation in schools, a grim reminder of a not-so-distant past. The state also has a significant racial disparity in its prison population, with a disproportionate number of African American inmates. Moreover, racial tensions are palpable in Delaware. African Americans report frequent instances of racial profiling and discrimination, contributing to a hostile environment. The state's failure to address these issues adequately is a key reason why it ranks number 1 on our list. Delaware's racial disparities extend to income and housing too. The median income for African American households is significantly lower than their white counterparts, while affordable housing is often out of reach for people of color. And that's why Delaware takes the top spot as the most racist state in America. And that concludes our countdown of the top 10 most racist states in America. It's a conversation that can be uncomfortable, but it's also absolutely necessary. By shedding light on these issues, we can start dialogues, challenge our own biases, and work towards a more inclusive, understanding society. Change starts with awareness. So let's keep this conversation going. Before you go, make sure to like this video, subscribe for more, and leave a comment with your thoughts. Together, we can work towards a more inclusive America.